beginning of the Zoom session, which I called less is more, but not sure it's best name. It's a way of finding inspiration in old icons without being overloaded with details on old icons, which often happens. So when we start speaking about some old iconography, some traditional icons, we see some abstracted image with lots of details which do not seem to be necessary for us. So garments, specific gilded stuff, what all this thing is, if not decorative. So for us, it may seem that the face is surrounded by lots of decorative motifs, details, just to create a specific world in itself, not realistic, decorative. And very often it does look like that. For example, these highlights or many other things seem that the artist wanted just us to be distracted from what we used to see, to make something extremely strange, odd, special. And that was his or her way to bring us into a new world. And often we would say, okay, icons are details and faces, faces plus details. And the more elaborate are the details, the more little patterns we see on the image, the more it looks less realistic, more sacred, more traditional. Well, I guess it's sometimes even not a verbalizable way of saying things. It's just the way we think of it. From the other hand, as artists, as people who approach images from professional perspective, we remember that images are created for a purpose. So we write a story, we make a theater play, we draw images, paint images to render something new and specific. Sor Margherita joining us from Florence. Hello, Sor Margherita. Sor Margherita, hello. I'm sorry you're late. We just have started the lecture. Are you there? Sorry, guys. So the artist who render an image of Christ, the artist who render an icon, in the first place would have a desire to tell you a specific story, to bring you a certain message, which would invite you into their world. Gavin is coming. Oh, I should have waited for a longer time before starting the lecture. I'm sorry. Okay, well, I should make two words preface again. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, stop sharing the screen for now. Okay, we have two new members of our community here joining our Zoom today. Hello, Gavin. Hello, Sor Margherita. And I started speaking about the things I wanted to share this time. So again, I'm saying that this Zoom possibly is one of the series. So we may be sharing, we may be having similar Zooms every month. And this actual Zoom will be recorded and it will be shared on YouTube. If you don't like it, just you know what to do. From the other hand, I wanted to share certain things from my experience in Tbilisi, where I'm learning from artists whose name is David Solakavuri. And now I'm trying to approach this topic from beginning, showing certain parts of my journey and beginning from introduction. Okay, I'm going back to the images and I'm showing again what it starts with. So if you are an artist, you don't think of an icon as of image which supposedly consists only of decoration. You don't think of icon as decoration. You think of it as an image of someone or somebody who you want to appeal to in your prayer. And sometimes images can be very strange. They can be weird. Oops, sorry. But even these weird images, which may seem like that, bear in them a specific character, a certain way the artist wanted to speak to you. It's not the formal execution of details, it's just a straight dialogue of someone who lived many years ago with us. And in many cases, if we want to think like, okay, this is an icon or fresco, okay, we want to learn to do something like that, we come to an icon painting school and the teacher says, great, you're here. So to learn painting icons, you need to learn to make the green color, the yellow color, and to apply the blushes and highlights and all the stuff like that. So actually, when we come to an icon painting school, the traditional way, or I don't know, program you're suggested, looks very much like this. You start with very dark shadows, you apply the highlight number 1, number 2, number 3, number 15, and at the end you put the black lines, and that's it. So this is a technique to achieve something. It really is. It's important we do have this technique, but we still have to remember we are artists. So artists are not those who know what color to put. Artists are those who make the world of art, whose art is transforming the world, not just filling it up with images created with certain technique. And thinking of it, we can try to imagine how different can be the icons if we speak about our old prototypes. Like this one. I would, for the first glance, say it's very, very strange. It's weird. But the other question is, can I use this image as a possibility to think of a technique? Yes, I know how it's done. I know he first applied this yellowish brown, and then he applied highlight number 1 and 2, etc. But first, what was more important for him? To render the image the way it is. So like when you look, okay, now a question for everybody. What do you see first when you look at this image? What are the main things your attention is caught by? Would you say a couple words?
His large brow.
Okay, that's right. Okay. Anything else? What, I don't know, catches your attention?
Where the
Intricate.
lights are.
Margaret and Peter,
Oh.
please. Margaret?
Okay. Where the lights are, you know, the white. It's, yeah, I keep going to where the light is, and especially the eyes.
Yes.
Into the center.
Okay, Peter?
Yes, I was drawn to the intricate beard and hair.
Sure, you are. But first of all, again, what is the brightest, the most important part is that he evidently demonstrates us the eyes and what other parts are for. They are made to help the eyes to be revealed. Yeah, you can't just draw the eyes on the board. You have to have eyes with addition of other things. And in this case, other things can be strange, but that's just to be good support for the eyes. And that's how it works. Another image. Technically, it's performed the way you would be taught in any school. Sun here, highlight, sun here, highlight. Nothing special, nothing new. But we don't look for sun here. We see the image, which is built of certain ingredients, but these ingredients work to help to reveal something. And this is the main part. So this artist reveals a certain type of a message. That's what he wants to make. Hello, Sir Margarita. I'm sorry you're late. We just started, but we should proceed because we can't repeat everything from the beginning, okay? I will be sharing this on YouTube, so you'll see it. And if you like to see the beginning, you can always see it later. Okay, sorry. for the delay. That's why I ask everybody, please join us some minutes before so we don't have these technical issues. So I started speaking about the artist revealing a message. And here I'm showing an image by my teacher, David Solakauri, which is not an icon at all, but where what he tried to do was to capture a certain character. Yes, we see the eyes, we see the ears, we know that it's done by a pencil, but we first of all capture a specific emotion the artist wanted to render, expression of the face, and it doesn't leave us neutral. It's appealing, it's engaging with us with its expression. Yes, it's not just formal. It's a real human face engaging with the viewer. And if we compare images like that, we may often notice that for medieval iconographers, it was also different. For some iconographers, it was more a formal execution of steps. Step number 1, step number 2, etc. For other iconographers, it was more artistic work. So artist who is using tools, but at the end, he arrives to set an image, appealing, engaging, talking to us in a very sincere way. Let me move this image to the left. So if we compare these two things, they do not belong to each other because these are just two different approaches. Approach of someone who has to formally execute in certain steps, and someone who is trying to render an image. And no matter it's contemporary or old, it's important of your engine, like what makes you move forward? What's the main idea you work for to reveal? And I would say these are 3 different images, not because of time, but because of how they reveal the reality. The images of the left, image of Christ, and this drawing by David are made with idea of bringing something specific by visual means. And the image on our right is showing how masterfully an iconographer can exhibit his skills, can build up an image, but not to tell us something personal. And speaking about imagery and artists' skills, we can sometimes encounter images like this. So very provincial, very simplistic, but how expressive. Like look at the eyes of St. Nicholas. They are very special. Or look how the eyelids of the Mother of God were made. Hello, Dasha. So like said you're a little late because we have started some minutes ago, but I will continue because that's what I can do. Okay, you will see the beginning later. So that's how it works. If you are an artist, even if you don't know how to draw the eyes and ears and everything, you invent. You try to find a way to render your reality in a special way. So it's strange, it's odd. It's similar to how children would paint the image, but it is a very sincere thing. It's capturing your attention and appealing to you. So that's how it works. Unlike this one, which demonstrates great masterful skills, he probably lived in Constantinople or in some other capital where he had a wonderful education, but I would say it's less speaking to me than this one. So this is really talking to me. And the other one is like, okay, I'm here, you can pray with me, and I'm a great tool for prayer, but I'm not really talking too much. I'm just being very silent. I am here as I am supposed to be. So moving forward, I just want to jump back to my own experience and slowly approaching further to the ideas which David was sharing with me. Like, if we start from here, everything's possible. Yes, we can have the drawing, and after the drawing, we can perform certain steps, or we can build up a very specific, wonderful, I don't know, terrific, genius artwork. It's all up to us. And if we move forward, I'm showing like what was my inspiration in the beginning, some frescoes in Georgia. And that's how I realized, like, how I used to. I used to apply highlights, shadows, everything. So it's a very traditional image from my professional point of view, and it's normal. It's something I would regularly have on my shelf, probably sell to someone. But at certain point, after having done this, I was invited to artist's studio, and he started showing me images from point of view of this artistic rendering of the world, so appealing rendering of the world. He said, look at this one. He's showing everything, but he's showing nothing. He's not proud of his skills. He's only trying to share what he wants to share. And comparing this to own David's drawings and David's paintings, I was wondering of how this can be put in practice. Like, okay, I like this portrait of a lady. I like how he made her, but how can I do this? I'm an icon painter. Icons are supposed to be more, I don't know, static, less emotional. And moving forward, he said, Philip, okay, let's try. Maybe you can start painting something and I will help you. I will help you to do. So let's talk about this image by Rouault and try to imagine your work as strong, as expressive as this one. So what do you see? You only see what you need to see, not more than that. You only see very few things, but you are not supposed to look at secondary details. They do not bother you. And David started teaching me in a way where he suggested you put large wide shapes which should immediately reveal the character of the image. Right from the beginning, you should start from thinking of what you want to say at the end. Not like, okay, now I'm doing what I'm supposed to, and at the end I change the direction of the site and it makes the image beautiful. No. He said, from the beginning, you must think about what you want to say at the end. And let's try from a simple natura morta, come si dice in inglese. What's the English for, okay, still life. Yes, sorry. So he said, here is the still life for you, Philip. Just do it, but don't do too much. Don't copy it. Make your own version where you only put most essential things, most essential features, and start with the white. So if something doesn't fit your paper, move it, change it. So do it your way, but try to make things in a way that it doesn't overwhelm, that it only shows what you wanted to say. And here I'm showing the final stage of this white work, white on black paper. But I will also show you now a couple of versions of, well, I made it in Photoshop, honestly, but I just want to show how little is enough for the image to be complete. Like we start from the black paper, from nothing, from zero, and we slowly begin revealing different details, different parts. So in the current state, it probably is not enough. We don't really recognize much. Yes, we probably know that these are supposed to be bottles, but we don't see yet. But if we work a little bit more, we start seeing a little bit more, and it probably can be enough right at that moment. No, maybe a little bit more. Maybe that probably was the time to stop, because you distinguish every object, you see everything, but nothing is attracting too much attention. And David keeps saying, sorry, that art is like poetry. You don't describe everything. You just give hints for the viewer, for the beholder, so that the beholder can do the rest of the work. you don't have to do all the work for the people, otherwise they feel useless. So an image should be invitation for the quiz, invitation for the viewer to continue what you suggested. Yes, you give 2 words, 2 other words are added by the viewer. And that is the final version. I guess probably that is too much, because that was already enough. So enough with little. And I'm sharing together these 2 images. So not much difference, but for me, it is substantial. So the one on my left-hand side is just enough to recognize everything, to see, and to distinguish, to enjoy, I would say. And on the right, the artist is doing so much to prove he is good in drawing the forms and shapes and demonstrating how glass is skillfully painted. So this is wrong. This is not right. And after experiments with this, I started trying drawings like that kind. So in possibility to have as little as possible. You give the viewer as little as possible so that the viewer can complete your picture. The reader can accomplish what you suggested as a poetry. So that technically is the sense. And I made also an image like that where we also have some background, and later I added some blue. But originally, what I think is important is that the main idea, the essential part of the image is first, you see first the face. The rest is somewhere else, is glowing in the dark, but not bothering your eyes. It's not bothering. And I made this icon after lessons with David, but David still criticized me because he said that the cross is too active. So I said, David, you know what? This gentleman was famous. He was a saint who baptized his country. He lived in Kiev in 989. So it's like, yes, it was 10th century. And he is famous for baptizing my country. So the cross is proper here. He said, no, the personality is more important. First, the personality, and then the cross should be visible. So it's a discussion between values which you can attach to the image, what you want to see first and second. And I just wanted to speak a little more about the technology, because now I'm using encaustic, but what I'm doing now is only possible when you know how to deal with colors. And the best thing, the best tool to deal with colors, I guess, is the possibility to use the egg temper or something similar, because it doesn't rush you moving forward. It doesn't allow you to be too loud, to speak calmly, modestly, and slowly. That's much easier with the egg temper. And from that moment, I started analyzing old icons, how David suggested me. Like, do you see the core first and then secondary details? Yes. Maybe the secondary details want to overwhelm. Sometimes they do. And just analyzing images from point of view of what artist wanted to render, not his school, his skills and other things, but what was he telling me? What is he telling me even after 800 years and after the time he lived? And I guess that is more important. So what is telling me rather than what are the means he's trying to achieve? Because with the means, if you start thinking of iconography as a formal skill, we may arrive to a situation like this, when formally he has highlights and shadows and lots of decorative details, but it all together is a set of skills, but not bringing anything special. Yes, the faces can seem lovely and maybe even thoughtful, but the whole message in together is not bringing me the peace which a professional work can bring. And professional doesn't mean making straight lines and nice and smooth highlights, but it means that you know how to render image built up in a way that you see what you're supposed to see, and you're not bothered by secondary details you're not willing to see. Thank you for your attention. I'm afraid it probably was a little too much information. David would have judged me. He would say, this is too much. I could have done it with fewer images. Yes, now I understand the idea. So the less is more. And this less is often like more powerful than when you say so much. Okay, now I stop speaking and I'd be happy to hear your thoughts. Thank you for joining us and thank you for coming here today. Yes. Alexandra?
Sorry, I'm having trouble just setting up, getting to the gallery view. I was looking. I found it fascinating. It's sort of, in terms of icons, I don't think the majority of viewers would accept it without education or without, you know, because so many people are bound by tradition and avoid change. They probably wouldn't like something that's radically different from what they're used to. But I love the idea. I loved the black and white images of your teacher and how you were trying to put what you want to do at the end, at the beginning. And I think I found it very inspiring.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to just say a bit of apology, because when I'm speaking about this, I speak about this difference, yes, not making something completely contemporary, super new, etc. Yes, I'm just speaking about this difference. One, which is using means to make a performance, he has to perform what he is supposed to or she's supposed to. And the other one who is using means very delicately to build his own universe of creative approach, universe of a real image. So that's the only idea.
Yes, I also have a difficulty personally with the really traditional icons that and with a lot of things within the Orthodox Church in terms of, I suppose, the externals, the expression. And that's that, you know, it is still conveying a world that is not the 21st century. And so we communicate with it through tradition, through what's expected of us, how to relate. But with this, we're introducing more something that's taking us into a contemporary world. And to me, the icons and the saints and everything, they're alive now. We're dealing with the living God, with the living saints. And so we are 21st century people. We don't relate in, you know, in a medieval way. I don't have a veil and, you know, black clothes and all that sort of stuff. So in many ways, I want the modern world to enter the world of iconography.
Well, I would rather say just appealing world. The world which would be appealing, which was made for a dialogue, not as a formal execution. So I slightly, you probably are more radical than I am.
Alexandra, what you're saying reminds me of something that I heard recently from Julia Bridget Hayes. And she was contradicting the idea that the icon is a window on heaven, and saying rather heaven comes to us, that the saint visits us. And I find that really, really helpful, much more in line with the beginning of John's Gospel. The Word became flesh, and we beheld its glory. The other thing, Philip, that I did find helpful, particularly as you showed the image of Saint Vladimir of Kiev, that and the criticism that the cross was too prominent. So to identify what is important, and not necessarily to leave out some of the details that are important, but to knock back those that are less important than what is important. So I found that the most helpful bit. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Peter. This is great. Thank you very much. Huh. Okay, what's important is less important. So it's a hierarchy.
The trick is deciding what's important.
Yes, it's the hierarchy, building up the hierarchy for yourself first. So you must have it in the beginning. Hello, Gavin. We're happy to see you.
I just figured out that I had my camera covered up, so
it's okay. Well, we're happy to see you anyway. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much. Well, we were trying to discuss how the I guess the camera was wrong, but you were hearing us. I see. Okay. And I also wanted to probably say some words about the how to say, the way we practically think, or I practically start thinking of changing my approach under these impressions, under the influence of David. And I guess the main idea is to let yourself from the very beginning see what's the core of the image for these artists. Like speaking about Shakespeare, it probably may sound like, what's the subject, how it evolves in the play, but that's not it. So I can say like, oh, I like the view, I like the movement, but in the words, it doesn't seem special. It doesn't seem interesting. So it's rather some capturing a character. So this probably will be the best description. And of course, I will capture it in my way because he lived like so many years ago, and I will be capturing it in the way I used to. But that's the most interesting thing, because you will capture it in your way, and that's the coolest thing. So this is the best possibility for everybody to be creative, everybody to bring new content to life, new understanding of how things should be done. Not reproducing them, but just to make them new every time. Okay, sorry, talking again. Any more thoughts, considerations?
I think that's exciting, listening to you talk, and I'm excited to see where you're going to go and what's going to emerge from from within you, Philip. This is good. It's wonderful. And I guess for me, I've just read a book about the Trinity and Hildegard of Bingen, and how people go backwards. And I'm just looking at perhaps our tradition, our Catholic tradition, and people are going backwards, backwards and instead of going into the now, to forward. So it's almost like a complete turnaround for an iconographer who has done a certain way and been in a certain theological way of thinking and operating, and something new, theologies come in, a new understanding of liturgy comes in, new understanding of scripture comes in. So how to not even reinvent that, but how to access that space, that new understanding and insight into. I'm not even sure whether I can even say iconographic image, because as soon as I say that, it immediately takes me backwards. So yeah, it's a bit of a confusing state of being for me at this time.
Well, we'll see what you come up with with your researches. That's also interesting. And I probably have to also add that this whole process, it's, well, yeah, I need to admit that it's not coming immediately, because to start appealing, no, okay, let's put it that way. Just a second. I'm share again a little image of something of the lecture. Yes, let me share it again, because to transform image into something like this, you can only when you know how to do the entire picture. Yeah, so it's a process. You first learn how to draw the bottles, how to draw apples and everything, and then you are able to make one stroke which describes an apple. So it's a process. It's a next step in your way. It's a way of being in speaking less. But before speaking less, you should learn how to speak a lot. I don't know how to put it in words in a better way. So before doing one scratch, you'd have to know how to build this scheme, because in this way, everybody will recognize you refer to the entire picture by one scratch. But if you do not know this entire picture, you don't know how to draw it well, your scratch will be clumsy. It will be not such a good picture. If it's not precise, it's not functioning. Am I clear in explaining myself? Yes. So we learn how to build it, and it takes a long time. But then when we learn, we can do one scratch. Well, I hope in the future, someday, maybe. So that's the most interesting thing. Okay, if no questions, I will speak a little more about how we feel our free time and how we discover cool things in there, because we can't record the courses all the time. So it's impossible to be video producer 24/7. So sometimes we just allow ourselves to switch off and have okay, a day of art. Is it okay? Yes, it's Saturday. We can afford a day of art. And then and then it's really funny to work as artists and iconographers, not in a way you think of yourself as doing certain duty, because that's also an interesting switch of a focus. I have never experienced it before, because I used to think of painting icon as a duty. I'm supposed to do my job well. I'm doing this, this, and this. But now, as you have half a day or some hours or a day, you think, what can I do in this short period of time? What can I do to transform this piece of wood into something valuable, something interesting, or to add something to this piece of wood? And it's a completely different understanding. So I also feel that I probably even envy people who do iconography in free time after job, because then your brain is totally free and you can do whatever you want. So you have no client hanging over there, no specific requirements to yourself hanging over here. You're freely developing what comes to your thinking process, to your eyes. And what David keeps saying, try to see occasional things that, oh, on this board, yes, on this ceramic tile, as Olga found this, well, I found for her, ceramic tiles from the roof, this appeared to be wonderful surface for painting. So try to see what your surface suggests you for development. It may have so much to say, you just have to add a couple of strokes and it's done. And it actually comes into connection with what some classical artists suggest, like Leonardo recommends artists to notice the clouds and what they remind. Notice odd design in some dirt and like think what it reminds you. So developing ready-made things, developing what's suggested to you by your materials, by your nature, and that's also a very interesting thing. So do iconography not as you prepare details in a factory, but make yourself become an artist and make yourself become a poet. It sounds strange and weird, but that's how it's done. Because when we look at the old ones, we are attracted not by how perfectly they are made, but how free they are in the moment of creation. So this is how we should also feel at this moment. Not the pressure of circumstances, but freedom. Allow it to yourself for 1 hour, but be free. Yeah, 3 hours, but be free and do things. So that is cool. That's really interesting thing we experience and we feel is a special gift. Like when you let yourself go, when you feel this pressure. And from the other hand, again, it's a process when you continuously learn. Because like why we actually, okay, I have to make like 2 minutes of explanation why we make the courses we make. Okay, because when we started, like I started iconography with my dad, he said, you don't know how to draw this part, take a book, open different models and find a model which is clear for you. Borrow from there. Learn how to build this detail, and this detail. Once you learn it, you can use it in any icon. So that's the principle we are trying to use in our courses, like learn this part, how it's constructed, then you're free to use it. And then you can modify it in any way. Yes, you can draw, I don't know, the sleeve with 1 fold, you can draw the sleeve with 15 folds. You know what you're talking about. That's what matters. So you know how to construct it. And that's where art starts. Starts when you know how to do it traditionally, normally, standardized way. Then you can switch from standard somewhere else. So that's what brings you the freedom. When you know that you always can do it in some normal, simple, traditional way. That's how it works. Anybody willing to say something? Total silence means total agreement. Okay. Thank you very much. So this is it for today, and I guess in maybe a couple of weeks we'll return. We'll continue making our Tempera course, but I think I will be continuously preparing my next Zoom, which should probably be around, I don't know, 24th of July, something like that, maybe 20. Well, let's see the calendar. Okay, we can check it right away. It probably should be happening towards, oh, I can't see. Okay, just a moment. So 23rd of July is Saturday. How about that? Does it sound okay?
You too.
So we can probably try making the 23rd of July. And if any of you would come with any specific topic for possible discussion, you're very welcome. Yeah, because I'm sharing what I have, but I feel kind of a little bit egoist talking all the time about myself. So I rather prefer answering someone's question, because then I feel it's better extending everybody's horizon, and we feel better all enriched, because not always I come with some discovery like, look guys, I want to tell you about this and this, please listen. No, I wanted to be rather sharing things than just like lecturing people. Okay, so it's not interesting. Peter, yes.
Can I share a link to a book that I've recently published, and I can share it on chat if anyone wants to pick up the link.
Thank you. Yes,
Would that be all right?
should be fine. Yes. Ta-da.
So that's what it links to, and it's if you're interested.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, thank you very much. So we will have a look. Well, I have actually started reading it, but it's like 149 pages, and I only did few. Sorry.
That's all right. Most of it's pictures, and a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yes, that's fine. That's really fine. What else I wanted to say that in the Peter, yeah, is it okay? Like, did you plan to add something about regarding the book?
No. Just share that link.
So as I started this topic of like sharing things, I should probably say that, as I mentioned in the newsletter, I continuously like try to learn. My friend who's an IT man, he says, look, it's so easy, learn this, learn that. So I continuously learn also some IT things, and I'm trying to build a Wikipedia for iconographers. I just start, okay? I'm making the interface, and I'm going to like put in a couple of different things, but then I suggest other people start doing it. So I hope in a couple of weeks, I invite everybody to share discoveries and new things, and it will probably be, not sure yet about making it open for everybody or not. Maybe for just, again, to begin with, we may have a little community to start. Maybe not everybody needs our knowledge, but that's going to be something new. So it's always something interesting to learn, and I wish we all share things. So I love learning, and I have discovered David, and he's teaching to me. It's a way of breathing fresh air for me. So I'm happy to have the same from everybody and sharing with everybody. So please come and share something you consider worthy for the community, and we can, I don't know, always get better, get more interesting our world, and through these things we share, our works can also grow and get more appealing, get deeper and more functional as icons for contemplation. So that's the main purpose, yes, to be able to perform our ministry in a better way. But to be able to make them great, we have to have something to be shared. So some important things which can be put into images, not just as, I don't know, execution of things. Okay, I'm starting to repeat myself. All right, so that probably is it. Otherwise, if you have any specific comments or questions or critique, I'm happy to continue with something. Anything else you'd like to discuss today? Next time I will probably say hello in Georgian, because it's something I have already learned, but not this time. Not this time. This time just I can say goodbye in Georgian. It's nachvamdis, something like that. Nachvamdis. The most difficult part is there are so few international words. So I attended a service in one of the churches. It was regular Orthodox service, but like once in 5 minutes, I recognized Alleluia. That was the only thing I could notice, and that was difficult. So that was difficult.
Philip, I'm singing a concert on next Saturday, and it's a concert for peace, and I'm having to learn to sing in Ukrainian.
Okay.
Some of the composers are Ukrainian, and our conductor is descended from a Ukrainian, they were refugees from Kiev. And so it includes Rachmaninoff. So if you're in Melbourne, 7:30, St. Paul's Cathedral, next Saturday.
Okay, I'll be there. Oh, no, sorry, I will not be there. But I envy you because Ukrainian is very beautiful language. It's a little softer than Russian in many aspects, and it's more melodical. It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you for sharing this, Peter. Okay, so thank you guys for coming. Thank you very much for joining us. Yes, Alexandra.
No, I just thank you.
And I hope to see you the 23rd of July. If nothing happens, I should be, well, I guess in a couple of weeks, I should publish a newsletter saying like, okay, we make it public, we make it open for everybody. So here is the link, which should probably be the same. Yes, I keep the same link for next meetings as well, for not just to worry about it. And I hope to see you. So if you have something to, I don't know, share, something to complain, something to cry about, please come up with. Well, sad to say goodbye, but we have to.
That's
Thank
it.
you very much.
Thank you,
Grazie.
Philip.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Lovely to see everybody.
Bye, Margaret.
Yeah,
See you.
hi there, Kevin. Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Into the palace by breaking